What's up, guys? It is Sunday night. I think I'm up past my bedtime here. So those of you who don't know me, my name is Rick Ginn. And tonight we're all talking about doing vacant land and how you can do it in wholesaling. So you guys are enjoying a nice long weekend, and that's awesome. And so Zach's normally here 10 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm on Zach's channel. So I'm filling in, but I know the subject matter well. So it's kind of fun flip-flopping channels. So you guys know my son, Zach Ginn. Don't worry. He didn't age 30 years overnight. This is his father. I'm Rick, AKA the Flip It with Rick. And it's pretty cool. I've never done I don't think I've ever done a live stream ever this late. So I'll try to stay awake. No, I do stay up late enough, trust me. But it's cool. So you can either like tune in this, you can watch some football games, or worst case scenario, it's recorded and you come back and do it. But we're talking about wholesaling land. And I really want to know if you guys are actually using this technique. I'm here to tell you, if you bypass vacant land, you are missing a huge part of profit center for wholesaling. And I'm here to tell you, it's way easier. Now, there's only so much you can do in your local market. So actually, in my opinion, wholesaling land works much better virtually, unless you're in one of those like open markets where they're still developing a lot. But either way, we'll go into it. So I'll share about 10, 15 minutes of what we do in our business to make wholesaling land very effective. And I'm really going to talk across the country because I'm here to tell you, I've probably had more success outside my local market doing it virtually. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, the profit margins are a little bit smaller, but it's actually an easier transaction. So if you've been struggling to even just make it with single family houses, you're just getting started, and you want to add land flipping to your portfolio, I'm here to explain it. It is super, super simple. I promise in 15 minutes, I can explain how exactly, step by step, how to wholesale a piece of land. And if you're not doing it, I want you to open yourself up to it, because really the first probably 3 or 4 years I did wholesaling, I ignored vacant land and I left a lot of money on the table. Actually, I was so focused on single family houses, I refused to even look at land. So as you guys know, you got the comments on the right-hand side. Drop your name in there, give an introduction, say hello. I promise I won't play a crazy video tonight. This is Zach's channel. Let us know what market you're in. And at the top, I have pinned up there, if you want to join a one-on-one mastermind, if you jump on, the sooner the better. The idea of doing more of these live streams with me and Zach is so you guys can connect with us. And that's our favorite thing to do. That's how you guys benefit. You get to learn. And the really cool thing is we don't even charge you anything. So I actually enjoy doing this. That's why I'm sitting here at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. And I like to keep it up. So normally Zach's here on Sunday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern. You are not in the twilight zone. The old man's on here. I'm here. It's fine. I promise you, I will stay awake. The only thing is I've switched from coffee to tea, because I really would never, ever go to bed. And you guys know I have a knack for like spilling stuff. So I promised Zach I wouldn't spill anything on his set. So without further ado, let's roll into this. I said we're going to get about 10, 15 minutes, and then we're going to roll in the one-on-one. So guys, get in line, get in there. And I want to help out as many people as possible. Honestly, you can't have a bad question. I don't care if you're on camera, off camera. If I can help you out and I can help you make money in wholesaling, even if you've never done a deal and you got a question about it, I'm happy to help out with that. There is no bad question. So guys, if you want to learn how to do wholesaling before I get into this, do me a favor. Go over to the number one, without question, hands down, the number one wholesaling course available in the world. It's based here in the United States, freewholesaling.com. It's got 25 years experience. I've personally done thousands of deals. Everybody I've worked with in the course, you guys have exceeded my deal total, which I'm very proud. You guys have gone well over 2,500 deals. And the idea is, me and Zach keep sharing the knowledge with you. The idea is to get you a basic skill set as wholesaling, make your first 100 grand without having these gurus pound you guys for $5,000 or $10,000. and half of them don't even know what they're doing. And here's the wild part. While I'm on this, because it's late, and you never know what Rick's going to say sometimes, most of these gurus that are out there teaching you, I said most, I didn't say all, are not even slightly active in wholesaling today. Why do you want to know that? Because if somebody's teaching you and they're not active in it, I promise you, you are not going to get current information. Some of it will work, but for the most part, what I did in 2003 and what I do today has been such an evolution, I can't even tell you. And really in the last year and a half, 2 years, it's been a wild change. And we are going into some wild, wild market times. Most people teaching you wholesaling today have never, ever been through a down market ever. And they've only, the reality of they've been speculators, and most of them switch over to coaching because it's easier. They can make a lot more money and they don't have to go out and actually flip deals. It's much easier for flip students. Why am I telling you that? Because if you're not working with someone that's not active in wholesaling and they're teaching it to you, that's like getting Fat Albert to teach you to be a fitness like mogul. Okay. I got no problems, Fat Albert. I grew up on Fat Albert. I love it. But like, you can't have people teaching you something they don't do. I saw a debate on the internet the other day. There's companies out there that teach beginner wholesalers how to become coaches and how you can make more money coaching than you actually flipping. That's a problem. Okay. My purpose is to get the news out to you so you don't fall prey to one of these victim scams, because you are not going to get any good information to be an effective wholesaler. But that's it on that. So guys, get in line if you want to hop on the live. As long as I have people on there, I'm happy to help out. So we're talking all about land deals. So let me run you through some basics of land. Okay. First of all, if you're just now studying wholesaling, specifically for single family houses, duplexes, and so forth, nothing really changes for land other than it actually gets easier. Okay. So keep in mind, you have a piece of land. Okay. Always understand this. Whoever owns the land is always in control. Okay. So being able to wholesale land is you remove a lot of the problems you have with single family homes. And then on it, you construct an asset, typically a single family home. So you're buying the land and then you're buying the value of the home on it. Okay. So all we are was when we're buying vacant land is you're just removing the asset off it and you just have the land. So raw land basically has a value. And your question should be, well, Rick, how do I come up with the value of the raw land? Two simple ways to do this. Number one, first of all, look at the comps in the area. Land's kind of all over the place. It depends if it's a corner lot. It depends if the land's been cleared. It depends if it has utilities. And you just got to get familiar with that in the market that you're doing. But the good thing is either it has it or it doesn't. And then there's a cost and a time factor if it doesn't have utilities on it. Utilities are going to be like putting in, is electric available? Is there a sewer line available? Do you have to put in a septic tank? Stuff like that. Okay. So if it's already set up, it's much, much, much easier. But a majority of them aren't. So people will start paying for this land. Here's the other beauty of land. Raw land, for the most part, is paid for with cash. There's no mortgages. There's private money loans, but there's not mortgages. And why is that advantageous to you? Because number one, it moves much faster. And number two, you have less competition for it. So most people that buy land, they either have to have the cash sitting aside or they have to have a builder that buys the land, will finance the land while they're building it. And they typically pay significantly more for doing that. So the people we're typically buying land for are people who bought the land. They bought it really, really cheap. They're only paying the taxes on it. They typically own it between 5 and 15 years. And then they just, maybe it goes up like 6 to 10 times the value and they just want to get rid of it. They don't even care what the retail is. They want to get a nice return on their land. So once land starts closing in a given city or an area code, once you have a few comps, then you can kind of tell the highs and lows on the comp depending on the size, the square footage of the lot. So like in Florida, most of our lots go, a really, really tiny skinny lot is 1/8 of an acre. A standard lot, which is 0.23 of an acre, which is 1/4 acre. Then you have half acre, and then usually it goes to full acre. And then after that, it goes, you add each acre, goes 1 acre to 5 acres, and then you start getting into rural and farmland at 100 plus acres. So we are typically looking for properties that are zoned for basically single family residential development. Okay. It's a bit of a work to take like farmland and try to convert it unless you're familiar with that area. So look for places on what we call infill lots. And infill lots are nothing more than a vacant lot in an established neighborhood that hasn't been built on yet. Those, in my opinion, are the easiest ones to take down. You just got to find somebody willing to sell it. Remember, they bought this land sometimes $3,000 to $5,000. It's worth $40,000 now. A lot of times you can make an offer at 20 to 25, even 30, and then you find out what a cash buyer would pay for it, and that's how you come up with your price. So the other way we come up with the price is we reverse engineer for cash buyers for vacant lands in those areas. And you can put up an ad, you can do it on social media, you can do it on Facebook, Craigslist, it's endless. And then basically you're looking for somebody looking for raw vacant land to build on, quarter acre size. Let me know. I got a list of properties ready to sell. And then once they call you and they start asking, you can see what they'd pay for it. Sometimes they give you like crazy prices and sometimes they're like really cheap. But so many times I can find out what they're paying. I go out and search for the land. And then basically I'm looking. So if I buy it from him for 20, I sell it to him for 30, I made 10 grand. Keep in mind, I never look at the land. I never take a buyer out to look at the land. It is absolutely perfect for doing a virtual market because you don't have the same problem you do with home occupied properties. You don't have to have anybody go inspect it for it. You don't have to worry about the buyer and the seller getting together. There's so many things that's advantageous for this, and they're cheap. Okay. So for that reason, I'm telling you right now, they are super, super easy to wholesale. Okay. And I'm telling you, the more you understand this, the easier it is. It's not nearly as complex as a single family home. The profit's a little bit smaller, but the process is actually a lot easier. Okay. You're just removing the house from the property. That's what you have to understand. That is the basic difference. So the next thing you go say, hey, Rick, what are the methods we can locate to find vacant lots? And this is super, super simple. You don't have to write this down. Just go back to the replay. I'm going to rip through them real quick. Number one, go to your county. You can either, what we do is the property appraisers, or you can do the county tax collector, which either or holds the records. From there, you can ask for a report of basically all the vacant land in your city or county. This should be a very simple list because it's all coded in there. It's not complicated. It doesn't take a programmer to pull this list. You have to request it. And probably 60 to 70% of the time, you can get this entire list ready for this. Absolutely 100% for free. Okay. All you are is going to get the property owner and like the vacant land. And then basically from there, you have to take that information. If you're going to call them, you have to skip trace them. If you're going to SMS, you have to skip trace them. You do a blast out and say, listen, you got interest in selling your land. I have a high interest in buying it. Let's talk. It's simple as that. Okay. Now, I like the county records because they're accurate. And keep in mind, everything comes from the county records. Okay. So the next one, if you, now you can drive around and look at signs all day long, but it would take forever to do that. So the next one, the real simple, I put it on there, is just, you can go over to listrei.com, and in there, sorry about that, is you look for, you go under filters and you're just looking for vacant land, and you can cater it to the size. If you're looking for like 1 acre or less, if you're you're looking between 1 and 5 acres, you can filter it out. And it's real simple. You can put it out there. And what I would do is look for the ones that are free and clear, which is going to be most of them anyways. And that list will just pop out, and it's super simple. Yes. Is this the same information you get from the county? It just might be 15 to 20 days behind. So it's no big deal. If you already have a PropStream account with listrei.com, go ahead and harvest that list. And then if you want to go down to the county, you can pull it. You can have a big, giant, massive list. The really cool thing about the county list is you get one giant list, and that can cover you for like 3 or 4 months. So whichever way like you want to do it, but list REI and the county are my two favorite ways to absolutely find them. You can do I don't like looking at any of the stuff on MLS because I think it's all overpriced on it. So once you find those lists, you have to choose how you're going to reach out and connect them. Okay. My favorite way to do it is basically cold calling and SMS because it's extremely efficient. It's straight to the chase. It's a simple, do you have interest in selling? And just filter out all the tire kickers. And when you find someone's interested, just work a deal. And here's what I tell everyone. This is one of the big difference we do on vacant land. You ready? Let me come down here. Okay. You're simply looking at to buy it at 60 to 70 cents on the dollar. If you buy it for less, great. My recommendation is try to stick in the 60 range, 60 to 65. I've bought them as high as 70, but you put them under contract. And here's what I want you to do. When you put them under contract, they're not like regular houses. We do not have like ridiculous, like tiny little inspections. Okay. Sometimes these properties have to be inspected for utilities, make sure the zoning's correct, make sure the it's going to be used for what the lot's designated for, residential, commercial, multi, whatever it is. And most sellers, either they agree or they understand it takes time for you to verify that. For that reason, I like to leave very open inspection periods on contracts. It serves two purposes. Number one, I can verify that the property is zoned for residential. I can make sure all the environmentals are there. There's like no special type of exotic animals. Like in Florida, we have this thing called a gopher tortoise. And if it's nesting on the property, you're not allowed to develop on it for like years. It's really bad. I love the turtles, but they're a little bit slow. But there's horror stories about the colonies of these turtles where people got all their money and they can't move on. So you got environmental concerns. We talked about utilities. You got to check and see if there's power in the area, if they're going to put in sewer lines. Sometimes when they have sewer lines now, you can't even put in a septic system. And sometimes the sewer lines are like 2 years away. So most sellers understand, go, okay, I get it, Rick. You got to take like 30 days to do it. Honestly, I ask everyone for 90 days. Okay. Because it can take you that long. But the reason why you really do 90 days is it gives you plenty of time to buy a cash buyer to pay top dollar for that property. And honestly, if you back out of it, I'm not going to say they don't care, but like they're not living there and they just put it on the market or they just keep the property. So I've never had someone melt over me backing out of putting a property, a vacant piece of land under contract. A little bit opposite on single family homes. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Typically your inspection is 7 to 14 days. Maybe you get 30, but they're all over you. And I don't blame them. But on a vacant lot, they're not living there. Most of the time they're in another state. It is no big deal. So when you put them under contract, you just want a massive inspection period. My recommendation is 60 to 90 days. And if they ask you why, you give them the exact reasons I gave you. I got to verify it's zoned correctly. I gotta check the environmentals. I got to check with utilities. And, I want to check out the neighborhood and make sure it's going to work. And make sure my builder is going to make sure that it is a buildable lot. So they use a lot of fancy words like sometimes they have to fill the lots in. You'd be surprised like how much dirt costs when you need it. You can literally get $3,000 or $4,000 of dirt to build up the base of the house where they're going to pour the foundation on. So now that we know that, you know what you're paying. The contracts are really, really simple. You can go over to freewholesaling.com. We have everything there. And the next most critical part is your cash buyers list, because you have time to go out and collect all these cash buyers, and you can have potentially up to 60 to 90 days to basically sell your contract. You got to get to work on the cash buyer list because it is a smaller pool of cash buyers for the vacant lots, and they have specific needs and specific time frames they want to do it. So I love people that want to buy the piece of lot so they can buy it and build their dream home on it. That's my favorite one. But you can't always rely on that because sometimes markets don't work out. The next thing you're looking for are developers. And I'm here to tell you, developers are key. They are a pain in the butt. They are just like a contractor who buys 60 houses a year. They're very businesslike. They run you over and they just don't care. And they will tie you up and not tell you the truth. But you do have to use developers every now and then. Like right now, developers are the key to buying right now. And the cash buyers of the retail type are a lot lower. But guys, like honestly, I'm just giving you the simple tricks and tips to doing it. Wholesaling land is just like doing single family houses without the house on it. You don't have to deal with the seller on the property. You don't have to deal with the buyer on the property. And you can do this virtually anywhere, at least in the United States. Probably do it all over the world, but I know there's lots of laws outside the United States. So if you're in an area that's not completely developed or you know of a market that's doing it, you're crazy not to get in this. I'll give you an example. When I started in 2003, okay, a lot in Port St. Lucie sold for $1,500, and I thought that was expensive. Fast forward to all the way 2022, going into 2023, a lot right now pushes around 55,000. At the peak of the market back in 06, 07, lots were selling for $100,000. So lots can go up and down like real fast. Sometimes it's got no rhyme or reason. The rate of an appreciation of lot is mostly focused on new housing builds and how much developers are booming in an area. So that's what you want to keep an eye out on it for. So guys, I'm here to tell you, man, if you're not wholesaling land, you're missing out. And if one comes up, like take a look at it. And so this is how I figured out how to do land. And I added an extra probably 20% to my bottom line. One of my biggest profits was flipping. I bought an entire block. Now I knew what I was doing on this one. This was after about 15 years. I basically held it 2 years and I tripled my money. I never put a dime into it. And honestly, I regret right now that I sold it, because I would have made about 30 to 40 times my money. But that's how you learn. So if you can get into the lot thing, keep in mind, you're really eliminating your risk. You're putting the property under contract 60 to 90 days, finding a cash buyer. If it doesn't work out a reasonable time, you either renegotiate or you get out of the contract. You never have to visit these states or anything. You just have to pick your markets. And if you're lucky enough to do it in your backyard where there's still room for development, is really cool, because then you can get a personal relationship with the brokers and have a lot of fun with it. And by the way, when I say cash buyers is critical, you do want to work with realtors, because remember, they're only going to deal with cash buyers on vacant lots. Yes, they'll get a commission, but they'll typically get you more. So the same holds true with the realtors on the cash buyers. You're going to make more. It's not going to cost you more. So that's it. I'm going to jump on the lives here. That's cool. So the Bosley family says, amazing, you're doing a video right now on wholesaling land. I just had a seller give me a list of vacant land he wants to get rid of here in Detroit. So I'm excited to hear what this is about. So guys, one thing I'll warn you, in like problematic areas, now I'm familiar with Detroit, just make sure you understand that market, because like when a guy from Florida looks at like a vacant property in Detroit, I'm like, $2,000-$3,000. Let's just buy like 30 of them. It doesn't work that way. You got to find out what's going on. For instance, I have a county to the north of me here where there's a ton of vacant lots. I mean, a ton, but like nobody wants them because it's in like a dead area. There's no jobs. There's no development. The population is dwindling. And I've watched people own land 30, 40 years and it's yet to appreciate it. So Detroit's been held down for a little while. Just make sure you do your research, especially in problem neighborhoods. As long as you don't have to own it and you can move it, but they're challenging the move. Okay. So just be careful with that. So awesome. Hey, Rick, it's timely. Currently prepping a marketing campaign for vacant lot. Rochelle. So the really cool thing is the marketing's so simple for it. I just gave you basically 2 or 3 techniques to easily find the list. You don't have to complicate these lists. There's not a lot of filters on them. I look for the ones that are free and clear, and I like them to own them at least 4 or 5 years. That's my only requirement. So if you go into listrei.com, put in those requirements, spit them out, you come out with a list of 10,000 and go to town. The fastest way is a phone call, but I will tell you, SMS is very powerful with land. It's very scalable for those of you that work on your own. That's how we started doing it, and that's how you can easily do it. Guys, you don't, and so many people go, well, I have to stop wholesaling houses if I do that. Dude, it's the opposite. You just add another income source. It's really, really simple. Okay. I used to turn down mobile homes all the time. And then when Zach started coming working with me in my company, he's like, why do you say no to them? I'm like, I had to sit down and ask because I thought they were a pain in the butt. And now once you own them for a while and you find out how much money in a return they can make, they're one of my favorite things in the world to own. So sometimes we have to learn, especially us old dogs, we have to learn new tricks. And sometimes I have old behaviors that come up, and then I'll have someone like my son say, well, why do you think like that? And then when you have to explain it, I'm like, okay, because this is how I always thought, and this is how the people taught me. Dude, real estate's change. Shaquille asks, what's the best market for land deals? It's the one you work. That's it. It's really that easy. And the funny thing is about Florida, up till about 2 years ago, Florida was beyond ripe. Like anywhere in Florida, other than extreme South Florida, really from Central Florida up to North Florida, all the land was for the taking. Everybody was selling it cheap. A lot of it's gone now. A lot of big corporations have snagged it up. But you just got to find trends in your neighborhoods and see what they're going for. So now I look back at a 20-year history in my local market. We went from $1,500 to almost to $100,000 in land, and nobody built a dang thing on them. So it just drives me crazy. So, it's crazy. So let's do this. Let's jump on the live so I make sure I get to everybody, because Zach's going to kill me if I fall asleep in this live stream. So I have not spilled my tea yet. I can go to bed at like a decent hour, and I don't know. I think I'm gonna do a little barbecue tomorrow and just watch some football. But I got some work planned on doing, so I actually enjoy working. So let's go. Copeland, you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
How you doing, man? I appreciate you being patient. What's going on, man?
Pretty good. How about you?
Good, man. You got to keep me awake now. So I'm old, so like I tend to fall asleep.
Oh, I got you. Don't worry.
I know.
I got a couple different.
Like, make sure you don't fall asleep when you do it. I'm like, so every now and then I tell Zach, go out, like enjoy your life. Like you can't like sit behind the camera the whole time. He's like, what are you gonna do about Sunday night? I go, well, I'm in town. I'll just do it from the studio, so it's no big deal. So
should do a Zach biography on here.
He's a little young for that, but he's got it'll be interesting because he got such. Remember, guys, I didn't even start this business till I was 33, and I felt like I was kind of like. I felt really new when I do it. Now it's like, yeah, I got 16, 17-year-olds. It's like really cool. It's just the way the world learns now is completely changed. And this is one of the reasons why me and Zach do this, because you're just not limited to traditional schooling and everything else. Everybody teaches the world. And then if we can just get the right people with the right instruction, it's just amazing what you can learn. Like I was extremely limited as a child. All I wanted to do was like learn. I just didn't want to, like, the reality is I didn't want to learn what they were teaching in school because
not one bit.
I always said, can I just hire an accountant or something for that?
I mean, yeah.
And I look at it now, I got 4 accountants that work for me, 4. And well, like they give me bills. They're like, Rick, are you like, I can tell they get worried. Like the bill gets up there. I'm like, I'll pay it. I always pay the bill. Like you just got to make sure you do everything correctly and keep it like correct so I can understand and learn it. And, but they spend hundreds of hours doing accounting. I have no interest in doing that. I don't want to do that. I much rather work with people like you and help people's businesses. So what are we working on today?
I got you. So I got you with an update on that 10-piece trailer park thing, but I actually had 2. You sparked up 2 questions I had about vacant land just now.
Okay, do those while we got them fresh.
Yeah. So 1, how could you value land in different areas? And 2, are things other than infill lots okay to go after? Because I've had random lots on like a side street.
Yeah.
Or just like I remember I had this one seller who wanted to sell, but they had like a windmill farm on like a bunch of different acres of land. I had no idea how to go about that, and they weren't very motivated, so I dropped that anyway.
Yeah. But so here's rule number 1 is the land has to have some sort of value to it, meaning you got to look at it and go, yeah, I think I could sell this. If you look at it and go, I don't think I could give this thing away, don't bother with it. Because if you've ever noticed, there is always a piece of land for sale. Oh, yeah. If you really want to do some crazy research and understand the market you're going to invest in land, look no further than your county tax rolls. So you do it locally or in your virtual market. Ask for the list. They have to give it to you. It takes time. And then you're going to see And like in my county, there's literally hundreds of pages of vacant land on the tax roll. So they're on the tax roll because nobody paid the taxes on it. Now, let me ask you this. What idiot doesn't pay tax on the land they own free and clear? Can you answer that for me?
I wish I knew.
I'm going to tell you why. Because they go, man, I got this piece of land for $100. How can it go wrong? And they own it 10 or 20 years. They're paying $500 a year in taxes. And it's no more valuable than the day they bought it. And they're like, I'm just sick of this crap. They never look at it. Every now and then, like they get a letter to clean something up on the property or a crime committed there. And that's it. That's why they sell them. A lot of the vacant lands, anything on a tax roll, is when they sit on the tax roll and nobody wants to pay the taxes and they're free and clear, there's always a reason. 98% of the time. People just don't forget to pay their tax bill. They're like, I just don't want to pay it anymore. And so I watch every one of the, so they have a tax deed sale. So what happens is when someone's behind on their taxes, they have a tax certificate sale, which means someone like you and me, we pay the back taxes, $500, and then we bid down the interest rate on it. And then basically the clock's rolling. And if they don't pay you back in 2 years, you have the right to initiate a foreclosure on the home. You don't get to buy the home. It goes to auction to pay back your $500 plus the interest. That's it. And when some people go like that, they're like, I don't even want it. And so like a big percent, like we have thousands of vacant properties in our tax roll. Nobody wants to pay. Like nobody even wants them. And then it comes a point where the city takes them back and then they try to sell them off. And I've learned like just because it's vacant land doesn't always mean it's valuable. So if you want to know the value, you can't make up the value on your own. You've got to just rationalize the value. Okay, if I'm doing like infill lots, I look here. So one of the tricks is you can go to most of your county appraiser's office. If you have an area where there are infill lots and they're harder and harder to get, is most of these tax things, they separate the tax. They break down the land and then the property on it. And that can give you at least a starting point. But other than that, you look at comps, you talk to realtors, and guess what? You guess. The reason why you put a long inspection period on is because when you build up your cash buyers list for vacant land, you let them determine what they want to pay for it. After I call 5 to 10 cash buyers for raw land, I know the rough range they're going to pay for it.
Okay.
And sometimes it's between 20 and sometimes as high as 40. It's a pain in the butt. So I actually took a 2-year period where all I did was work with realtors. This was a side hustle. I made a couple $100,000 doing it, but I had a broker that would go out and contract all the land. And we would buy them in like sets of 50. And then he had a partner that would sell them off. And I watched how it worked. And like some lots would hit it out of the park and some lots we'd actually lose a little bit of money on it. But for the most part, I made like a 48% return.
Wow.
And, but it went away, you got to stay on top of it. So I hired people to do the whole thing, but he was right. He was on a trend. He's like, Rick, you know how to market. How can we get more of them? I know this is roughly what they'll pay. Now, every time we go to another market, like I've done this in Tennessee, I've done it in North Carolina, it's the same thing. You just got to pick the right market. If the property is weird, it's got power lines, it's crooked, like there's not a lot of houses around it, heed the warning. You're not going to get much for it. It's not worth it. It's got to be desirable. And that's the key. So many times, dude, I bought a piece of land. I own plenty of land for a couple $1,000s. I still can't give away. I thought, how can I go wrong with this land? I went wrong. Like I still own it. Like I don't care. It doesn't hurt me, but you're not in control. Like, so I hate land banking. I hate buying land and see if it's going to make money down the road, unless you have a big time play on it. So look around when you're looking at the property, just look at the satellite view. If you don't see a house within like a mile or two, heed the warning. You're not going to get a lot of buyers for it. It's going to be a real challenge to do it. So if it's challenging, don't bother because it's going to take too much energy to try to sell it. That's my opinion. If you can't sell a piece of land in 60 to 90 days, it's probably just not sellable. A strong majority of lands in your guys' counties, they're just not sellable. I can go all day long on them. Like, just look. I'm telling you, guys, look up your property tax delinquent records. and just isolate the vacant land, you'll literally die if you see how much is on there. And you're going to think, oh my God, I can steal these. Don't buy them because they haven't worked in 30 years. You're not going to be able to fix it either. Without millions of like developer dollars. And remember, you're going to develop an area where nobody wants it. So it could be what's in the land. It could be it's just not buildable. It could be close to power lines. I once bought a property that had 2 billboards on it. And here's the really cool, it had a house in between it. Nobody wanted the house. But guess how much the billboards generated? $3,000 a month.
Wow.
Okay, so it was a little 2-1. The house generated $1,000. It's $4,000. Okay, I bought the thing for like $80,000. They thought they were killing me. It's one of my best producing properties ever. That's how you think outside the box with land. So in Florida, we have a bunch of these odd lots, and they have billboards on them. And I go crazy because if you have the rights to the billboards, you get very, very, very attractive contracts for them. And now people are in the process of switching them over to digital billboards, which get 10 times the amount of revenue, but man, are they expensive. Like, they could be like over $1 million to put them in. But
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So guys, I found this out the hard way. I used to buy a property and have 3 vacant lots next to them. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with that? And then if you get lots next to each other, people will pay massive premiums for it. That's the one thing I know for sure. So the valuation has to come from your customers and what the market's doing. Like your gut feeling what it's worth, unless it's in your local market and you've known it your own life, is most likely irrelevant. So if it's in a really remote area, there's nothing there, it doesn't make sense, move on, because you're going to spend more energy trying to sell it and you're not going to make any money. So you have to find lots that make sense. Like, okay, well, this makes sense. And with the cost of houses and lots now, there's a pretty big disparity. A lot of people will buy the lot and then wait to build on it and stuff like that. But infill lots are great. And most infill lots I sell to are usually to the neighbors within that block, because they can move grandma there. They can move their mom. Like, that's a big luxury. So I did that with my grandmother. We moved her next door to us. And it's a huge factor. So.
Okay. So infill lots are like the biggest and best.
They're the easiest, but they're a little bit harder now because everyone's buying them up. So, but just look around with it. Market's somewhat softening. It's a really good time to go after these types of properties.
Oh yeah. I've had a hard time. I haven't marketed to vacant land a whole lot.
Yeah.
But in my little experience, I've noticed that there's a lot less infill lots.
Yeah. So like if you need to like fill your pipeline and you don't have a lot going on, you just started out wholesaling, pull a vacant land list and go with it. Like the people are much easier. Like they don't beat you up nearly as much as
trust me.
When you get them, they're like, yeah, just like make it super simple. Basically just make sure you write the contract. Like you don't fund it till the day you have a buyer ready to go. And listen, I've backed out a lot of them. They like, okay. They never say, we're like, okay, don't wait till the last day. But I'm like, listen, can we get a reduction because I missed the price here. My builder says it's way too much to buy the property at this. Like they can't make it work. And they're like, okay, well, what are you thinking? And like, I'm just telling you, like they're much, 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 much easier. And I wish I did them earlier, but you live and learn. I wish I did probates earlier. So all type of real estate investing is a learning curve. You just got to figure it like stuff out as you go on it. So what's going on with your other deal?
I got you. Okay, so I got a lot of good info out of this guy. So when I first initially asked him about it, he told me about like the 10 he wanted to sell, and he's like, I just kicked out one of them, but the rest are rented, and it shouldn't be a problem to fill this one because I get 30 or 40 calls a week, which is honestly surprising to me because this is a smaller county.
Okay.
But he gave me the rent numbers, and one of them needs flooring, interior doors, skirting, and a bunch of like other interior stuff. He said he has pictures, but he has to find them and will send them to me whenever he can. They're all on leases. I think 2 of them are month to month. One of those has been there for like 4 years. The rest of them are all on 1-year leases. The land is owned underneath, zoned as multifamily, so that they could add more whenever. I asked him about the tenants. He said they're all good. His motivation is he just wants to move on to other stuff. And then 6 of them have titles. They've all been permitted properly. They're on block piers with tie downs, no lot rent or HOA, and he owns all the property. He said operating expenses aren't too much out there. Taxes are a few grand a year, and unless someone moves out, he doesn't have to do much and maybe a few grand a year to upkeep, and that's in terms of like 10 of them. So
Okay.
I really don't know how to value this. I talked
So
to
how many mobile homes are total that he has available?
Let me see. I think it's 10.
Okay. And is he just selling 10, or does he have like 90 more?
Okay, this is 9. So I think he owns a bunch of other, because from what I know, this guy's like a property management company or something. So I'm pretty sure he owns a bunch of other properties. And
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he just wants to go like move on and I guess build something, or I'm not sure what he exactly wants to do, but.
So let's do this just for time's sake, because I'm not going to stay on too late because it runs late.
Yeah.
Send me an email to support@flipwithrick.
Okay.
And let me just eyeball it. I'm going to talk to my team tomorrow. We got to go through a bunch of deals and just try to sum up everything you told me there and take a look at it and just give me your contact information. I'll have somebody reach out to you.
I gotcha. It's not under contract yet, but also I did.
I know, but just that way we don't share it. But just you got to give me some basic information.
Yeah.
And one of us will reach out and call you and just kind of walk through some numbers real quick. And I'll even tell you if it's in the ballpark, if it makes sense, like even pursuing.
I talked to one buyer and he said he aims for an 11% cap rate. And I did some calculations based on like 30% operating expenses and all that stuff. And it seems like not all 10 of them will be possible to move for 11%. But I definitely feel like I could get at least 3 to 4, maybe 5 of them, because he listed his prices to me on what he wants on some of them. And of course, I have the rent numbers as well.
Okay.
So I'll attach all that in the email.
Send me that. I'll take a look at it. I mean, I love mobile homes, but I mean, between you and me, 11% would be really tight because there's an inherent risk with mobile homes. They're not considered the highest class properties.
Yeah.
And so that way they should have at least double digit. But remember, coming down to the N09 net operating numbers, like most of the people are going to lie to you. These are pretty straightforward. So just try to organize it in a sheet, get what you have and put out there. And then really, why is he selling it is like the main thing I always ask. How long has he owned it for?
Quite a long time. He bought all these cash like 2014 or something, and he bought them dirt cheap, like 30K.
I mean, if he wants to cut a deal, he can make anything work. If he's looking for tippy top dollar, I just give him to a broker because the broker will laugh him off the face. Like mobile homes really don't trade with brokers. They don't like them.
Yeah, I know.
They think they're way below their pay grade, so they usually to sell like all in one shot. If it makes sense and he's telling you the truth, it might make sense. In my experience with mobile home parks, either they kind of give them away or like they just cover up the truth and make it a very difficult transaction. And like the minute it becomes difficult, there's much easier stuff to buy. So remember, a trailer park is strictly bought on cash flow. Nobody goes, hey, I own a trailer park. It's super sexy. It's not
exactly.
So it's a means to get a better in your financial future. So it's got to work. So him coming at like a 10 or 11, it's like, I don't mean to tell you this, but like the stock market, like I think by the end of the year, it's going to get where it needs to. I put my money in the stock market. I never got to lift a finger. I'm probably going to make 12 to 15%. And a mobile home's a lot of work when you switch over owners.
Yeah.
So like the average person, like where's the upside? Why should I do all this? And it's got to make sense. It's either got to be really good terms or like an amazing cash flow or a combination of the both. The only people who pay top dollar for mobile home parks is when you have like 100 plus and they're professionally managed. Then they'll pay top dollar. But honestly, a lot of those trade at 9 to 10% caps. So an 11 on like 6 or 7, he's going to have to do better on the price. But send me that support at Flip with Rick and I'll take a look at it. Okay.
Gotcha. Will do. Appreciate it.
Okay, bud. Okay. Good luck, man. I'll talk to you. Okay. Romel, you there?
Yeah. I'm here. I just had a question for you. I just had one question.
Okay. How do I pronounce your name? Just make sure I get it right.
Romel.
Okay. Awesome. I was close.
Yeah, very close. But the thing is that I was with on call with Zach the other day, and he told me, I told him what county I want to virtually invest in. And he told me to pull the probates for it, and I was having trouble pulling it because like I went to the clerk of the court, and it wasn't there. So I was just wondering if you could help me like pull it up real quick.
Well, it depends if your county has do you know if you can pull them up online or do you have to go physically get them?
I don't know. I'm new to this.
So here's the challenge with it. There's 3,500 counties.
Mm-hmm.
Every single county, even counties right next to each other, do this process completely different.
Okay.
So you simply, I assume they're going to be closed on Monday. So you're going to have to call Tuesday morning or go by there and ask if you can get remote access to the probate docket.
Okay.
And so some of them give it for free. Some of them we make it limited, and some you have to pay like $100 a year for a corporate account, which is well worth it because then you don't have to like ever pay gas again for the year.
Mm.
So that's the first thing you got to find out, because probates aren't like a public search you can get access to. You usually have to, even the free accounts with the counties, you have to fill out some paperwork. You have to sign an agreement like that you're not selling the information, and they just want to make sure you're reading the Riot Act, that you're not like doing something horrible. So they're going to put you through a process if you do it in person or remotely. So simply first Tuesday, call and find out, can I get them remotely? And if so, what's the process? And if I can't get them remotely, like what can I do? And if they have a paid corporate account, don't freak out about it. It's actually a really good thing.
Okay.
Because then they give you full access to everything, names, sometimes even phone numbers.
All right.
So that's the first thing you got to do. No one's going to make this stuff public and make it super easy for you.
All right.
And remember, 5 years ago, like I couldn't even get them access online. So like half the counties we work on are online and the other half are offline. So
it's 50-50.
50-50.
I was trying to invest in Fayetteville, right? And then Zach pulled the county for me, and he told me I should look into there to see if I could like.
Well, see, now Zach's much more technically advanced than I am.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot more wisdom than him,
mm-hmm.
and that's why we're kind of a good combo. The fact that he's my son that helps out too. But listen, Zach's got good advice. I never have all the like best advice in the world, but I'm just telling you, I would do that first one first.
Okay.
Because that will eliminate all your questions. Because if I send you online and we go on a wild goose chase, it's like 50. You're gonna have to wait till Tuesday anyways.
All right.
So I would call, find out, see what their process is, be super nice about it, and then follow up. And then Zach will be here Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll be here with him Thursday, and then Friday, and then actually I'll be here tomorrow if you want to come on at 8 p.m. So either way, you'll find it. Okay.
I'll let you know.
Okay, Ramel, get it. Okay, bud. See ya. Okay. Victor, are you there?
Yes, how you doing, man?
Good, man. I feel like we're becoming best friends.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean,
it's okay, man. Dude, I'm sitting here on Sunday night at like 10 o'clock. I'm just like, I got to get a life.
Well,
what can I help you out with?
Said, man, I appreciate you guys, you coming on late to help us out here. So that's
listen,
awesome.
Honestly, guys, you guys know I do this because I love it. Because what other idiot sits up like this late at night? My wife's like, "Where are you going?" I go, "Well, I got to go to the studio." I go, I think I'm switching with Zach. I'm not even switching with Zach because I'm gonna do it tomorrow night. But you guys see Zach so much, you guys need like a little bit of a break from him. So what's going on?
We need to see more of the old. We need to see more of the old bull. So.
Let's just call it bull. Let's lose the old in there, okay? I don't care, man. The gym's been really cruel to me. It just gets so hot in Florida in September. It's just terrible here. Oh,
gosh,
it is hot, man.
I can only imagine, man. The humidity is probably.
I run outside and it's like you can go at 6 a.m. and it's like it's terrible. It's not even about the sun. The humidity is just so bad. So, guys, if you're ever in Florida, you want to leave Florida in August, September, and half of October. Outside of that, it's wonderful. But I'm just telling you, September is probably the worst weather month in Florida. It's just terrible. So, what's going on, man?
Just like a couple questions, quick questions, actually.
Okay.
So, as far as virtual wholesaling, so boots on the ground, what are your suggestions for finding the best people to be boots on the ground? I've heard that realtors were good. Who could I trust?
So I look for semi-retired realtors or brand new realtors. They're either on the end of the spectrum or they're just starting out. Okay. The reality is people are people. There's no easy way to do this. So you just start with social media, Craigslist, and understand that you're going to go through some people in the long run. Eventually, you find someone that's gold and does what they say, You just got to try to keep them busy and take care of them. And guys, a lot of you think it's always about money, and it's not. So finding out someone's simple birthday, find out what their, they celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever it is, and just by calling them on that day or sending them a text, dude, it goes a long way. It goes like a long way with people like that. So simple thank yous. And then in the beginning, when people don't do what they're going to say, I give them one freebie. And then next time I just move on. Like, I just don't have time for the games. And that's the biggest problem you have with it. So I typically go through 3 or 4 people in one given market before I find somebody. And then when you find someone, you can go 4 or 5 years because you can't buy trust from people. It's really hard.
Yeah,
and keep in mind, you get the person in the beginning. All I have them do is take pictures and do some basics. Maybe they take a document and get it signed. And I tell them, your job is not to screw this deal up. The biggest risk you have with boots on the ground is talking to your sellers and saying things to freak them out. Okay. The next biggest risk is when you bring in the buyer. Now, if a buyer's there and the seller's there, they live there, and you have someone that's untested and you have no idea if they're going to be loyal to you, you're going to find out the hard way. And that's the problem with it. So usually I give them 1 or 2 tasks to see if they can do exactly what I tell them. And if they don't, the hardest part with the boots on the ground is having a buyer and seller together. They don't understand. So I always tell people, when you come there, boots on the ground, your job is to sit there by the seller and just small talk them. Tell the guy, look around real quick, and then I'll meet you outside the talk. So I treat them like the center, like on a football team. Your job is to sit right there with that seller, protect them. Don't let that buyer say one thing to them. Go walk around. You got 5 minutes. I'll meet you out front and answer any questions you have. Do not let the seller answer the questions unless it's critical, because a lot of times once the buyer thinks they can engage the seller, you're done. Like, they're going to run you over. And that's I've had a lot of problems with this, and you just learn by nature. So if you have someone, a family member, a friend, or someone in that market you're doing, you're better off starting with them. But then I have them take pictures. I'll tell them, take a minimum of 20 pictures, upload it to a Google Drive, send it to me in 48 hours. Capiche? Once you send it to me, I will Venmo you the payment, and we're good to go. And the minute they start asking for money ahead of time, bye. Because they'll rip you off. And that's where it's like, listen, if you can't take 20 pictures for 50 or 75 bucks, that's it. You are going to risk a little bit of your time with me, but I'm going to do the right thing. So, and then I'll give them one more task. And then if I get in a situation where I got to take some risk here, I'm just going to kind of read in the right act and pray to God it works out. But some of them just don't work out. Some of them are bad. By the way, this goes with, I've hired people to put out signs. I've hired people to do driving for dollars. It's the same thing in anything you do remotely, because it's very hard to verify like what they do. Your biggest risk on boots on the ground is screwing up your relationship with the seller. So you always have to think from a defensive position from the seller. And when they go there, they go, listen, if they have any questions, just put me on the phone. I'll answer it right there. I don't want them answering any questions to the seller unless it's like simple. Like, what time are you going to be here? I'll be there at 10, stuff like that. So you're never going to find the perfect person. So you just got to go out there. You're looking for someone who's trustworthy and loyal and do what they say, and understands your job's not to interfere in the deal, but to enhance the deal. And then once they demonstrate it over like 30 days, then you can turn it up a little bit more. And so I have 2 markets where I have such great people, and I don't know them personally. And then I got like 3 other markets. We're in a constant rotation. We just can't keep anybody. So a little bit of it's luck. I'm just going to be brutally honest with you. But don't ever pay someone before they deliver you a product. So if you're going to pay someone to do pictures or a drive-by, tell them to upload it, and then you release the money.
Got it.
I've had over 10 people I've paid, and then they never give me the pictures, and I think they're like funny. I'm like, okay, enjoy your $50.
So basically, you're just saying JV with you, so I don't have any of those problems.
You can't listen. Life's risky. Period. Like you're gonna, dude. Have you ever dated like a crazy woman or a crazy girl? It's like we're all like, it doesn't matter. Men are just as bad. Like, we all pick bad people here and there, and then you move on to that's how you learn, right? there's no way to avoid these people. You can find someone that's maybe pre-vetted in one of these services, but like I doubt it. That's why I do like to deal with ex-realtors and stuff, because they feel like there's a code and they can't violate it. And that's why I like to take advantage of it.
Okay, got it.
And then technically, if you want to pay them like to help you out with a deal, you can easily pay them a commission without a problem. You don't have to go through like, I got to pay you through a marketing company. So look for that. The other one is like property managers. Sometimes you find a property manager that's falling out or like that's unemployed, they are dynamite. They're much harder to find. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Ex-property managers, because you got to understand, most ex-property managers don't make a lot of money. They typically make 30 to 40 grand a year. And that's in today's market. They're paid very, very poorly. So I find ex-employees of property management companies and they work really well. But listen, the minute they go bad, just cut it off and move on. Have your ad ready and just replace them. And after 2 or 3, you'll find the right person. Hopefully you hit it right off the bat. And by the way, if they're going to talk to your seller, make sure they send an accurate picture of them. If not, try to FaceTime them. I'm not trying to judge people, but I don't need someone that just is not going to look even semi-professional, if you know what I mean. Like, are you going to brush your hair? Do you have 36 piercings coming out your face? Like, I'm not here to judge, but like, I can't freak my customers out either. So, because the first thing they'll ask is, hey, what's Victor look like when he comes here? And I have to usually describe it. So I want a picture. So I go, hey, Victor come. He's a nice young guy. His hair's a little bit long. You know, he's got a good build or he's short. And we're just kind of like, oh, okay, I know who's coming. So just make sure you take that approach when you do it. And if somebody doesn't want to give you a picture or do like a FaceTime, don't hire them because they're like, and I don't care. You can do this job from a wheelchair. You can do it from anything, but you just got to, I just need to know who I'm working with. It's much easier. And then the ultimate cheat, Victor, is whoever you're researching, go just punch them up on social media. It's going to tell you about 80% of the person.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. But usually looking for someone that some people can only handle pictures and that's it. But when you have them deal with your seller and your buyers, it's a little bit more of an advanced person and you have to make a decision when doing this. The last fail-safe, if you have a really like interesting deal and the buyer's already committed and you got to get an appointment document signed by your seller and it's like, it's one of these weird description things. This always comes up in real estate. Hire a mobile notary. They're $50 to $75 and by law, they're only allowed to describe what they're signing. They can't screw it up. So I do a lot of mobile notaries. I love them because they're like, they have a strict code. They have to do stuff. By the way, guys, do not hire mobile notaries to deal with your buyers because they won't do it. They'll deal with your seller on signing documents all the time. So, okay. Victor got cut off there. So what's up? Rivon, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. How you doing?
Good. So it turns out my seller didn't ghost me the other day. He called back.
Okay, what did he say?
He was just busy with like other stuff and all.
So, like, here's a good point, Lo. I'm glad you mentioned that. I think as wholesalers, we get paranoid when people don't call us back.
Yeah.
And it's natural. But sometimes, guys, you have to like take a few steps back because they don't understand your urgency. They're like, shit, I've been in this house 20 years. What's the big deal? Like, why so rough? Yeah. So we automatically assume they ghosting us. Sometimes you got to walk through. Sometimes when they're older, they just take their time.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, if you ever have that seller with the full voicemail, I guarantee you're going to think they ghost you.
Okay.
Yeah. Keep in mind. Okay.
Yeah.
I ain't the brightest guy in the world. Like I have to go through my texts every 3 days. Otherwise I can't even keep up with my texts. And these are people that freaking know me. Okay. So if you have a full voicemail, which you know what that means, right? You never get around to deleting your voicemails because that's how you filter everybody.
Yeah.
They're going to ghost you. Like it's but once I have a voicemail, I mark the file. We have a ghoster. We're on it every day. Sometimes when they get older or something happens, I go like, when's the last time he talked to me? He goes, yeah, well, I waited like 10 days to talk to him last time. I'm like, you're going to have to give him the respect of the 10 days unless the house is being foreclosed on or going to auction. So, because sometimes you can overreact and you can lose a deal because you got so freaked out.
Yeah.
So guys, keep in mind when you leave a message and it's in a negative connotation, you cannot take it back. You can't. So don't do it. So either hang up or say, hey, listen, I'm just trying to get a hold of you. Have you ever had someone leave you like 10 messages? It's annoying as heck.
Yeah, it is.
It's really, really, really bad. I just had a car dealership because I didn't buy the car from them because, I play the game of negotiations with everyone. They thought I ghosted them, and then they just, I got harassing phone calls, and I finally called the GM back. I go, tell your sales guy, stalking customers is not going to help them out. After the third message, I get the picture. I don't want to talk to you anymore. That's it. So I'm glad you recognize it because I was getting ready to tell you that. Okay, sometimes you have to be, but you can get in the other place where you get complacent and you assume everyone has an excuse.
Yeah.
Then you're even worse. So I've pissed off a lot of people in wholesaling in general. I don't care if you're doing land or you're doing houses. Our job is to push, and it's really to guide people and try to help them out even when they don't even understand what's in the best interest of themselves.
Okay.
They still have to make a decision. You can't force them to do it. And sometimes you have to push people, and you push people, you get them to make a decision, it works out. Some of them are going to go over the edge, guys. And if you don't push a customer or two over the edge, you're not working your business the correct way. I'd rather lose one or two over the edge that are stalling me out than lose 60 others that can never make a decision with me. And that's how the numbers play. You always have to push and guide people, and you get pushback. Some people get pissed. Some people won't do business with you. But if I took 100 sellers and say 50 of them were on the bubble, if I take those 50 and push, I'll get 40 of them to make a decision, like a hard decision. It's yes or no. I don't care. I'll probably lose 4 or 5 minimum.
Okay.
The other way is you do nothing and you don't get anything. So you're gonna lose it. The question is how you're gonna do it. And so where are you at with them?
Turns out that he agreed with the price. I just had a question. So
okay.
So his area is vacant, right? And the problem is for the inspection period, I put 40 days, but I know you talk about 90 days. But the problem is
you could do up to 90 days. It's just that's like a win-win.
I was scared.
That gives you a lot of options.
Okay. The problem is because he wanted 20 days or 17 days, but then I got up to 40 days, and now to renegotiate with them with 90 days. I'm so confused. So
let me get this straight. Is it a vacant piece of land or is this a house?
It's a vacant piece of land. He is a vacant in Detroit, especially. Yeah.
So honestly, never do less than 30.
Yeah, I know.
And if you can get 90, and anything in between is fine. These aren't hard numbers. It's just kind of guidance. And when people say, why do you need so long? You simply explain to them, well, I gotta research and make sure it's zoned correctly, see if anything's changed. I gotta look at utilities. I gotta look at planning. These are normal questions. And by the way, a lot of these things take weeks to get back on it.
Oh, okay.
Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't even call on this stuff. I go find buyers. If I can't find buyers, it's a waste of my time. This is the same theory as you guys pulling comps for houses that you don't know their motivation on. So if there's no motivation, it's like a waste of time.
Okay, so is 40 days fine then, or should I bump it up a little bit more?
I think 40 is fine. You've already been there, but now going forward, you're not going to ask for anything less than 60.
Yeah.
Listen, 40 days is still a long time, dude. It's not. You got to work a little bit harder. The reason why I want you guys to get more time, because most of you are newer.
Yeah.
And you haven't done vacant land. So you're going to have questions come up. You're not going to know the answers for it. And sometimes it takes people a week to get back to you. The problem is that week can come at the very last week of your contract, and it gets stressful when you have to do that. And by the way, if you have 40 days, if you had to go back to the guy to ask for another 30.
Yeah, he's gonna get pissed.
If you can show some progress,
yeah.
And the only reason you need another 30 days is because your buyer's got to straighten out one more detail, you'll probably get it. Just telling you. They don't live in these properties. They're vacant. They don't care.
Okay.
So keep doing what you're doing. It'll work. Don't get hung up on the 30, 40, or 60 days.
Okay.
The general rule is nothing less than 30. I shoot for 90. And guys, we're going in a much softer market. I go for 90 everything going forward. Because the 90 days gives you really 45 days with the greatest of ease to find a cash buyer. And guys, if you can't find a buyer, nobody wants to buy it, get out of the contract or renegotiate it. Once your buyers speak loud and clear, when you have a 90-day contract, you have a lot more room to play with that stuff.
Okay.
2 weeks on vacant land, suicide.
Yeah,
I would never do it.
He
Even in the hottest market, I always got 30 days.
Okay.
So remember, land is it's just different than houses. Everybody wants to get to that inspection period and get you committed. When you're doing land, you're like, in theory, what you're basically doing is you're writing a contract.
Yeah.
You're basically creating an option with the contract. That's what I'm teaching you to do.
Okay.
Because then the other way you do it, you got to buy 50 lots at once, like I did. But like some of them, I got really good deals. I had to close, but next thing I know, I got like $400,000 or $500,000 out in lots. I'm like, dude, like, I hope we're making money here. And I had to trust I made my money, but don't do that. Like the way you're doing it, get it under contract, get the inspection period as long as you can, and go out and work the buyers. And I promise you, in 30 days, you're going to figure out stuff like you didn't know before.
Yeah.
And you're either going to go buy 10 more lots like it, or you're going to go back and ask for a discount on this lot and know how to buy those lots in the future. Remember, wholesaling's a journey. You guys, everybody has to go through it. If you get it for free or you pay for it, you have to learn it. And the thing is, I don't know your market that you're working in.
Yeah.
And that's like, we're all on this journey together. And that's the reason why real estate is why we can get away with all this stuff, is because all real estate is local.
Okay.
What works in San Francisco doesn't work in Louisiana. What works in Detroit doesn't work in Chicago. And it's always going to be like that. It's never going to change.
Okay. And another question I had is, the thing is, I put an EMD of $100, but he's asking if you could do $1,000 or $2,000. So should I do it or not? I'm kind of confused.
No, just tell me to do 200. What's the point?
No, he wants 1,000 or 2,000.
Yeah, and dude, I went away 180 pounds and just have ripped abs. I have before, but like but like, it's like what you want and what you get. Like, the only time you ever have a problem on EMD is when you make it a problem.
Okay.
Go, listen, the idea is I got to do some I got to do some research stuff. I always say, listen, the deposit's just a deposit. It goes to a title company. Okay. You're not even getting it. So like, what do we care about this for? I tell you what, I'll double it to 200. We'll just call it a day. I give them the decision. That's it. I don't make it negotiable.
Okay. So
because once you 500, then you got to go to 1,000. Then you got to go to 1,000. It's 2,000. Then it never stops.
Okay. So just do 200 and final.
You tell him, go, listen, I tell you what, I normally do 100, but here's a cool to go, listen, if you had to give the 500, get a 180-day inspection period.
If you do 500. Okay.
Well, if you had to do 500, make sure you've got 120 days. Listen, whenever somebody asks you for something, like, guys, this is like one-on-one poker. Get something in return.
Okay.
Like, here's an example. When you guys have sellers and they say, well, Rick, I'm interested in your $155,000 offer, but if you would do 160, I might be able to do it. I tell you, it's like, so if I already have a buyer lined up for like 180, I tell you what, I'll do 160, but you got to commit right now. Like, end of story. I have to get something in exchange for it. Either I'm going to do that, or I'm going to tell you what, you're going to commit, and then you're going to pay the closing cost. And they go, Rick, why would you have the seller pay for their own closing costs? Well, when they push me, I ask for it back. So say there's $2,500 in closing cost. I just go get $2,500 more for the buyer. I know I can get it because I'm going to say, listen, the seller's going to pay their normal closing fees.
Mm-hmm.
And because they wanted a higher price, I included in the deal. So I'm going to ask about $2,000 more than I normally do. They're like, oh, that's great. As long as you can prove it on paper. So always ask people, if I give you this, will you give me that? Always ask for something has changed. So if somebody asks you to go up to an EMD, make sure you're getting more favorable terms, a better price, or you're getting them to execute a committed contract right then and there.
Okay, so I'm just gonna ask for. I'm just gonna say I usually do 100, but just because of you, I'm gonna do 200.
I'm gonna do 200, and then if you want to play around and move it back to 90 days, although it might be a sticking point.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna move it back to 90 days because I think he's gonna be already pissed about it because he's already. So,
but the deposit's pointless. It goes to a title company. Like, it doesn't benefit you. It doesn't benefit him.
I'm gonna get the money back eventually, right?
Yeah. So like, who cares? Like, it's kind of stupid if you think about it. But remember, just whenever you're dealing with a seller, when they kind of do this, always ask something for exchange, because if you constantly give your seller what they want, they're eventually going to run you over.
Okay.
They're going to like, oh, he's a pushover. Watch this. I'll get another 5,000 from him. And like, so if you don't stop these little wins up front, it becomes a problem. Now, if you're making a crap load of money and somebody asks you for an extra $5,000 and like you've had struggle with them selling, you just look them dead in the eye on the phone and go, listen, I tell you what, I'll agree this one time only if you sign right now. Like I'm going to do the DocuSign, or like I'm going to have somebody come by. If it's not signed in the next 2 hours, this isn't going to work.
Okay.
And that's it. And then we're going to go back to my 155, and then we're going to just drag this closing on forever. So always ask for something in return. And the quicker you can ask, the more you'll get. So in this instance, when they asked you, they go, come on, Ravon, can't you do a $500 deposit? I go, listen, I might be able to do that 500, but what we need to do is just double that inspection period.
Okay.
Because I need to be very comfortable that everything's being called. So if we can do that, I'll do that. And here's what they'll do a lot of times. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just keep everything the way it was then.
Okay. Yeah.
So the minute they ask for something, you ask for something in return. What that does is it prevents your motivated seller from coming back from you on the next time and then asking you for something else.
Okay.
And the biggest problem you have with motivated sellers on single family homes is once you give them a price increase, and sometimes you have to, if you don't nail it down right there, they will ask you all the way to the closing table, and it's a nightmare.
Okay.
So,
and then one quick question. One quick. So after sign the document, I send the contract to the title company, and in the meanwhile, I'll find a cash buyer, right?
Correct. I will be honest with you, on vacant land, I tend not to send the contract until I have a buyer lined up.
Okay. So should I get the assignment contract and then the contract and send both of them to the title company?
Correct. That's what I would do, because the reality is a lot of vacant land falls out because they're virtual.
Yeah.
There's no house. So the land's really not, there's not many issues that come up on vacant land. It's usually just property tax.
Okay.
And there's only like a few owners on it. So it's not as risky as a house for all the other liens, mortgages, and stuff like that. So I don't want to be opening up files that I'm not going to be able to close on. So once again, by having 60, 90 days, if you have to open it, you still have plenty of time to run the title. Remember, whose problem is the title?
So can you say that again? Whose problem is the title?
Whose problem is that if there's a problem with the title, whose ultimate responsibility is it?
I'm not sure. Is it me?
The sellers.
The
sellers.
Okay.
So the seller needs time to rectify it. So a lot of times you're helping them out by doing these longer inspection periods. So, and then sometimes you find out like utilities and all this other stuff. I've had some land deals drag on for a long time. It's just because of the logistics of it. That's it. They still want it. They go, Rick, I'll wait the 6 months, but just when I want to do it, it's like. And by the way, when you get like really good land deals every now and then, you can do some amazing financing opportunities. Like I once bought a piece of property for $3,000.
Yeah.
And the guy wanted to build this crazy custom home on it. It made no sense to me. And he wanted to overpay. And he wanted to know if I could do this. I could buy the lot next to me. So we put it all together. And I bought the lot next to it for like another $5,000. So I was like $8,000 or $9,000 into it. I sold him the lot for $75,000.
Oh.
And he gave me $25,000 down. And then I carried a note. To this day, I still carry it.
Mm-hmm.
And it pays 9.5%.
Okay.
And I still have like 24 years left on it. 25.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like, so it's like you can write mortgages
as
long as you're getting your investment out of it and the seller gets paid.
Okay.
So you could even take your assignment fee and then like finance the rest as long as you're in a first position. Because think about it. The guy's building like a $700,000 home on it. You think I'm worried if I'm going to get paid? I could care less. Like I know I'm going to get paid, because if not, I'm going to take the entire house back. I don't care.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
You got it, bud.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. I'll see you. Okay. You there? Roadrunner.
Yo, what's up, Rick?
Hey, man. How you doing?
I'm all right. I've been on with Zach. This is my first time getting on with you, so it's good to talk to you.
Uh-oh. You got pops on, man.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good.
Where are you located?
I'm located in North Carolina right now.
Oh, cool, man. I like your market, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys had some interesting college football games this weekend.
You ain't even check it out. I was on the channel and seen y'all was watching the game though.
Yeah, Appalachian State, which I'm very familiar with Appalachian State. They almost beat North Carolina, UNC, and then Eastern Carolina. I don't know if that's in South Carolina or whatever. They almost beat North Carolina State. So you guys got great football over there. I don't know how, like, really good football town. So what can I help you out with? What did my son screw you up on anything? You need me to fix it?
Oh no, he been leading me the right way.
That's a joke.
Yeah, no, he been leading me the right way. But see, what I got a question about is my calling.
Is your what?
Is when I'm me calling. So,
Okay.
I'm with Batch, and I had just skipped Trace the drop for dollar list for like 3,300, and
Okay.
I skipped Trace it, and out of like 1,500 calls, it's got like a 3% contact rate, and I ain't never had one that low unless it's a bad list. And I had Batch look into it for me. They said like everything looked okay because my hit rate was high. It was like 90 something.
Yeah.
But my contact rate is low, so they looking back into it, and now I'm gonna get back into it with them Tuesday. But I just wanted to see what would you kind of think, because that.
Yeah. So, I'm like brutally honest. So like my son is like, he's hands down the cold caller. And by the way, I would put my son up against anybody nationally. I don't even care what their age is. The only condition is they have to do it live. And he's that good. Like the kid's, he's probably made millions of phone calls. So I've always avoided cold calling because it's just not my cup of tea. Like I never did it. I did a lot of the old school ways, door knocking, like crazy stuff. Zach actually grew up in my business cold calling because I sucked at it. I just didn't want. I was making plenty of money. I didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
So what I want you to do is Zach is going to be on Tuesday, and he cold calls live on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'll leave him a message just to hop on early and have him run through all the numbers. And I said, if you've already called batch, kind of went through it. There are variable factors on the type of list you pull and stuff like that. So Zach's going to be your best person because I don't want to give you bad advice, dude, because I'm not like, I know how to pull a list, but when it comes to the skip tracing, Zach handles that entire side of our business. I never even touch it.
Yeah, me too. I know I do because I don't.
I know, but I want you to work with Zach because, like, honestly, like he knows it. Like he's done millions and millions of calls. He's made a phenomenal amount of money done. He's made our business a ton of money, and I just want you to get like the truth.
Yeah.
On like everything, and like he'll walk it step by step. To me, I'd have to take your information, write it down, talk to Zach. So I'm going to let him know that you called in. I've seen you up here before. I've seen you talk to my son. Call him on Tuesday because he does live. And so I think he does an extended one on that. Yeah. And then if not, I'll be on Thursday and I'll make sure you get connected with him. Okay. I want to give you guys the best information. I don't speak on matters I'm not an expert on because I'm just lying to you. And I cannot, dude, I have this terrible thing. I just can't lie to people. Like it's just so much easier to tell the truth. So I love cold calling. I love that you got like the guts to do it. So you've got a low response rate. You used batch. So we have to break down your list and see if we're missing something between your list and batch.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Cause I done did deals and I ain't got no problem with calling. So I know it got
Okay.
a list just because of cause the contact rate is 3. I usually get like a 7 or 10 or somewhere. But I was just trying to see what I probably go wrong. Probably in them. I just know that 3% ain't right.
I agree. So let's get on Tuesday with Zach and get to the bottom of it. And if for some reason he misses you, he's on Wednesday again. I'll remind you. If not, I'm on Thursday. If I see your name pop on, I'll make sure I pull you on. But I agree. I don't know the exact way to nail it down with you without spending like 45 minutes with you. Yeah. And then I'm not the expert with batch and the skip trace part. Honestly, Zach handles all that for me. So, and we do a lot of it. And he knows when there's a problem. He's like, "Wait, we got a problem." And then he'll go, "Hey, where'd you get this list from? Where'd it come from?" And then I'm the list guy, but I stop at the list. And then when they hand over the batch, it's like, and Zach knows when we have a problem. Like he comes to me, he's like, "Hey, is there something wrong with the phones? They're not ringing." I'm like, "No, dude, we just spent a ton of money. They should be." And he's like, and we nipped the problem in the bud. So get all that information together. because I do this all the time with direct mail. Like I've dealt with multi-million-dollar budgets on this stuff, and direct mail is even worse because like sometimes it just doesn't work, and you could do everything right, and it's really frustrating. Skip tracing, it's data, so it's a little. You can definitely dial it in. So let's Tuesday call in. I'll let him know you're calling in. He'll do live calls, and then he should have some time to do it there, and then he'll be on Wednesday. And if not, I'll be on Thursday. I'll make sure he answers it. Okay.
It's at 5, right?
What's that?
At 5, right?
Yeah, 5 p.m. So he'll be on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then Thursday the same time. So just catch us one of those days, and let's like nail it down. And he'll pull up batch and go everything with you, and just figure it out because I can't do it. Like I'm just honest with you.
Yeah, I forgot. I've been watching. I've been hearing you saying you don't like cold calling. I had to really.
But like you got to understand, I grew up in a time where it actually cold calling's been around forever. Like nobody invented it in wholesaling. It's been in every industry since the 50s. Okay. I just grew up in a time where we just knocked on doors and we mailed and we networked like crazy. So if somebody taught me that in 2003, dude, it would have been lights out.
Yeah.
So like that's an example. It's like sometimes we don't know what's good for us. So like, I don't like cold calling. It's rude. It's like, no, that's what you perceive in your head. For the longest time, this is the truth. I said I would never cold call for probates because I thought it was like a bit morbid.
Yeah.
I go on record now. I was wrong. It was my ego talking. It was selfish because I've learned. Zach showed me, hey, the realtors are calling them. Other investors are calling them. We're not helping people out. And she goes, we don't screw people over and we help them out. And it's a win-win. I'm like, okay. I go, just call it something other than cold calling. So we come up with warm calling and that's it. We're just a little bit nicer about it. And like, ever since we've done that, we've done, I don't know, at least a couple hundred deals just on cold calling on probates. And 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, actually 5 years ago, I would have never done that. So sometimes, dude, like it doesn't matter what your age. We're all learning. We all move through it. And it's, you're smart. Cold calling is the fastest way to connect people. Is it a pain in the ass? Yes. But if you're okay with that pain in the ass and you can muster through it, you'll do amazing things.
Yeah, I really ain't got no problem with it. I just like to make sure my contact rate up. I ain't really got no problem.
Let's fix it. Tuesday.
All right. I got 2 more quick questions.
Okay, let's go.
All right. Like you just brought up the all right, when you were just saying about the vacant lands, even though if I'm just straight cold calling, that's all I'm really focused on. Should I still do the texting because you said they were good for it, or just stick to what I'm?
Either way, it works both ways. So since you already have the phone number, if you have a text service and it's a reasonable cost,
I don't have a text service.
Okay, listen, just stick to the cold calling. Like it's to me, it's the straightest, fastest line. Like I just look in our business, I look at that first and foremost because we do a lot of volume.
Yeah.
Then I looked at everybody I talk to all over the country. The people that usually do the best are the cold callers. Like it's just hands down. Well, the problem with SMS, there's a lot of little mechanical stuff that comes into play there. Like your delivery rate. Are you being marked as spam? Are you like a scam likely? And now you're having to evolve all these equations in there. And for that reason, they're just making it harder and harder for everybody. So my suggestion is stick to the cold calling. That's what you want to do. So do you do single line? Do you do a multi dialer?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, dude, just go all in with that. Like the SMS will literally drive you nuts. So I have one person that's their entire job is to manage it.
Yeah.
It works, but man, we go through a lot. Like there is a lot of like stuff you got to go through. And it's my problem with texting. It's extremely effective. It's scalable. The problem is it just keeps changing every 60 to 90 days, the requirements.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like they're trying to bust people and it's like eventually someone's going to get caught here. Because the question is like, are we really even selling anything, right? Like, so we all believe like we're not soliciting. We're just saying, if you're interested in selling your property, I'm not selling you anything. I'm asking if you want to sell me something.
I'm like, no, I'm actually buying it.
I know. What else you got?
That's one. All right. So you said I've been going to the probates. I've been looking at your videos strictly for the probates. So when you say you look them up online, only thing you saying is the probates and they got real estate and you go find them, correct?
Say it again. You cut out on the last part.
All right. So when you're looking at the probates, are you looking for the probate and that they got real estate and you search them up?
Correct.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. That's it.
All
Period.
right. That's what I'm doing. So another thing,
Okay.
I've been going through this data for hours. Is that what is it usually like? Am I taking too long?
Well, it depends on what you're doing in those hours. If you're learning your data and you're looking for tendencies and you enjoy it, knock yourself out.
All right, well, yeah, because I'm figuring out who I need to contact
Yeah.
too.
So I'd rather you spend time on your data than comps because the data is so much more important. Comps, remember, comps are just an output of a math problem that you don't have any say over it. You just have a guideline. So comps are always arranged. So like data, I'm gonna let you know when I first started wholesaling, I geeked out on data. Like I was like, dude, I only had like a couple $100 to spend and I had to make it count. So to make my $200 count, I would spend 15, 20 hours. Like, okay, this guy's over here. He's probably not going to reach out to me. Let me replace. So it was almost like it was like a fantasy football. I was like, okay, I don't need this player, but I'm going to get this one. So I would get like the best 500 people I could on a list that give me the highest probability to get a deal in 30 days. That's how I operated my first year because I was scared to death, dude, because I could not fail. Like I had to pay bills. So when you're under the squeeze, like you're much more. So as long as you're learning and you're like somewhat enjoying the data, you can't spend too much time in your data, in my opinion, because that's how you learn. Comps, you'll waste your time. You'll become a realtor if you spend too much time in comps. You don't learn anything from comps. They constantly change.
Yeah, I ain't like the man, but I run
Yeah.
pretty quick, like you were saying. I run them like 5-10 minutes. But I was just making sure when I'm doing the probates, I was looking at the videos. It can be cars, it can be bonds, anything. So make sure that person got real estate, and I find the PR and do all that.
Yeah.
All right, I got it.
Okay, bud. Tuesday, I'll let Zach know.
All right, 5 Tuesday.
Okay.
All right,
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay. So Howard, yes, we are live. It is Sunday, 11:27 Eastern time. Me and Zach only do lives that we say are lives. We don't do any of these like little tricks. If you guys want to find out if a guru is fake, they run 24/7 lives. It says live, it tricks you into doing it. And honestly, if you find someone doing that, immediately discredit them because it's just wrong. So we do value the lives. We do them more than anyone else because I believe you should get unfiltered information from people that actually do this business. So, Victor, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
What's up, buddy? What's going on?
Yeah, so quick question. Sorry, I got cut off that last time.
That's okay.
So, okay, so as far as the virtual wholesaling, so I know that on a previous or on a video that I listened to about virtual wholesaling that you guys released, you said that the deals would normally they wouldn't be closed necessarily on the first call, correct?
Correct.
So how would how would I go about as far as the process of closing? What does that look like? Through virtual wholesaling.
Are we talking specifically about probates?
Actually, government lists.
Okay.
Cold calling government lists.
Okay. So the one you have to be particularly careful is probates, because if you attack price on probates right off the bat, you seem insensitive, you seem like greedy, and it just runs them over. And in my experience, that will pretty much get you to the bottom of the list. And for that reason, you want to take your time. So whenever I have probates, I just let them tell their story. I'm very patient about it. And the longer you get them talking, the more the story comes out. And I never attack price on the first call or two. I just gather information. Why? Because they're the most profitable deals, and I don't want to tick them off right off the bat. And we talk about regular government lists. Listen, once I connect with them, I talk to them, I'm simply going through the 4 qualifying questions. Okay. You know the 4 questions. I can rattle. You should be able to rattle them right off to me. Okay.
Yes.
MCTP, motivation, condition, time frame, and price. And remember, price is not a motivating factor, guys. It's just it's somewhat of a, honestly, price is more of a disqualifying factor than it is a qualifying factor. So if I know I mailed to a house that's $150,000 and under, and somebody's asking for $800,000, and that's what they want, I probably know they're not going to be very serious to sell me anything. They're being beyond sarcastic, and it's not going to work. So outside of probate on the other ones, just get into your 4 qualifying questions, treat it like a script, MCTP, go through it like a conversation. So if you, and by the way, I don't ask their motivation. I go, why are you interested in selling your property, John? Tell me what's going on. And then see if they're going to open up. And then I use all the other qualifying questions to try to open up as many open-ended questions as humanly possible. And by the end of that, you should have a good idea where that conversation's going and what you want to do with it. Okay? When they're really on the fence and I can't tell with them, I just tell them at the end, I go, what do you need to get out of this property? I never ask them what the price is. I never ask what the offer is. And the reason I do that is because I want to see if I can disqualify them right away. So you ever have the person goes, if the price is right, if they, by the way, if anybody ever says, if the price is right, I'll sell it, just get off the call. It's not going to work. Yep. I've never, ever had that one work. Bob Barker, you can make it work on that show, but it doesn't work in wholesaling. So for the most part, the 4 qualifying questions really dictates who you spend your time with, who you go on an appointment with. The only exception to it is probates. Probates take 5 to 6 touches before you can really nail down a price. Because you have to have massive rapport to get to the price on probate. Because most people in probates, if they're going to sell to an investor, they're usually going to give a very good deal. If you don't have that rapport built up and they don't trust you completely, you're going to get run over. So probate's the only one I do separate because you're dealing with a death. All the others, I want to get to the point kind of quickly as I can within reason. Okay. But like I was even talking to the gentleman earlier, he had a guy that was hot to sell, wanted to send the contract over, and didn't hear from him for like 7 to 10 days. And he's like, oh, I think I'm being ghosted. I'm like, you got to be careful because sometimes people just they might take 7 or 10 days just to get back to you. And then the guy got back to him and he moved forward, but like some of us panic on it. So really the qualifying questions are your final determination if you're going to move forward with that client, if you're going to give them more time, or you're going to call them back and get more information. And remember, when you have someone on the phone, Victor, like that's the sweet spot. Because trying to get that information, say I'm going to call you back in a day or 2, you will constantly play phone tag. It's annoying as heck. It can take you months to get that person back on the phone. So, yeah, whenever I've heard if the price is right, I know I'm done with the conversation. It has never worked out once in my entire life, ever. Mm-hmm. So it's the qualifying questions. That's what separates who you spend your time with. Okay. And here's a little trick. If everything's going perfect on the qualifying questions, meaning like I can't qualify this guy. And remember, most of the people are going to be disqualified. When they start going on and on how great the house is, just run them over. So I just like that, Victor, your house sounds amazing. Why don't you just list it with a realtor? And the reason I say that is I'm going to try to see if they'll finally give me the real motivation why they're talking to me. Either they're just screwing with you and they're one of these Karens and this is how they want to get even with you. And we get that all the time. Or they're trying to vet you out to see if they can tell you the real problem going on with the house. Remember, everybody we market to typically has a problem. So you have to assume if they're not telling you a problem, they're trying to find a way to either tell it to you or they're not sure how to tell it to you. And that's perfectly normal, Victor, because the first time I talk to you, it's not like you're going to roll over and tell me every problem in your life. Not off the bat, but after 3 or 4 conversations, if you're open and we have a relation, then you'll tell me everything that's wrong. And that's how people are. And that's what you have to understand. You don't have to be this slick salesman. You just have to connect with people. And how do you connect with them? You take your script and turn it into a conversation. And once you build rapport, then you build it up and you get to your negotiating part. You go for the no. Why do we go for a no, Victor?
You go for the no because why do we go for the no?
To get the best price possible.
Best price.
To get the best price possible. Because if you get the house at a really good price, it makes your job as a wholesaler so much easier to sell your contract. If you take the first price they shoot over and you get really excited signing the contract, then you get nervous afterwards. You already know you overpaid for it. And how do you know that? After 2 or 3 phone calls, the cash buyers are like, I'm not paying more than 90 grand for that house. I go, well, crap, I just paid 100 for it. And then oh man, I paid too much for this thing. And then you got to go back and like, let me tell you what, getting a discount after you overpaid for it, it's terrible. The reason I have to get a discount is I overpaid you for the house. And this is going to be a really painful conversation. That's what I have to do. So you almost have to find a reason to go down on it. And for that reason is why I want to go for the no. I don't want you kicked out of the house or anything, but if you can get that difficult conversation done up front, it's so much easier afterwards. It's like fun. And that's why I want you to go through this process. The only one you're going to separate a little bit is probates. So any type of government list, you're going to go in, you're going to do your qualifications. And remember, you're going to disqualify probably 90% of the people you talk to. So be prepared for it. And I go, listen, if anything changes, give me a call back. I'm definitely looking to buy houses in that market. I can't reach that number. But if you can't sell it for that or you have a problem, please give me a call back. I wish you the best.
Okay.
That's it. Every now and then one will call you back, but for the most part, I don't even do follow-up on some of those people. I have to have some sort of motivation to move forward. That's it. Make sense? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Hey, Victor, give me a like or something, because I haven't got one like on Zach's channel, and I don't think I can get off this thing until I get one. So,
Are you kidding
so
me?
if you guys can do me a favor, just make sure you're subscribed to Zach Ginn's channel. Go over to Rick Ginn's channel. You guys know where you are at Flip with Rick. Someone give me a like here, or I'm just going to start rambling. And it probably won't even be real estate related. I'm just kidding with you. If someone could give me a few likes, because I forgot to ask when I go on. Hit that subscribe button. On Zach's channel, he has unique stuff that's just particular to him. I'm usually sleeping at this time, like I'm an early bird, but I will stay up late to talk to you guys. So I appreciate it. So Victor,
It's 11 o'clock over there.
Yeah, I know. It's great. It's like 11:36 now. So, okay, Victor, I'm gonna start yawning here. I got to get ready for bed, man. I'll see you, bud.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Okay. So, guys, do me a favor. Just make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'm gonna answer a couple questions online as I wait for like a like here, because it's like I'm getting a little OCD on the likes here. I'm just kidding with you. So Tony says, hey, Rick, what percentage of buyers go behind your back and take your sale and negotiate with the seller? 0. If you do wholesaling the correct way and you do the right paperwork, you will never have this problem. I've only had 2 people in the last probably 3 years do this. They both wound up in the courtroom and they made me a ton of money. And the funny thing is they were brokers. So I sued them for their license. I sued them for damage, and I covered all my attorney's fees, and everybody knows not to even try to do that with me. So it's called contract interference, and it's punishable. So let's see what else I had. I had one other one here. Okay, so here's a good one. Kellen says, hey, Rick, I have a seller I'm meeting with on Thursday. $18K in back taxes, wants to move but doesn't have a place to move yet with kids. That sucks. Should I get it under contract for 60 days? How should I go about it? Put it under contract immediately and give them the flexibility that you will flex with them on the sale date. So we're in September. These types of people, which listen, I've had kids too. It's a lot to move them. They typically take 90 days to move. On average, this is my 20 years of experience. So if you're near September, so September, October. So here's what you do. I would put an expiration on the contract for 12/31. The reason is I don't want you to wait that long. The real reason for doing that is so you don't have to go and chase around for extensions. And then you're going to check base with them every few weeks. And the closer you get, you're going to touch to them every week and then twice a week. So sometimes you just have to wait and help people out. The problem is a lot of people realize how expensive it is to rent a place or anything like that. And if you want to do a deal with me, if you want, you can submit that deal. Where do I put it here? You go over to Flip with Rick and JV if you want to partner up on with it. I love doing deals like that. Obviously, the motivation's there. Hopefully, you get the right price. So if you need someone to help, if you want, we can put that contract we can work with you, show you how to do the contract. And the really cool thing is we split the deal, and you don't have to be You don't have to be in my special $10,000 coaching program to do that. We teach you how to do it. That's why we go live 6 days a week. We want to help out as many people as possible. So, guys, I think that's about it. Just make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channels. Go to Zach Ginn and Rick Ginn. Both have unique special contact information. Make sure you subscribe. Smash that like button. And guys, we will see you. Actually, I'll see you tomorrow on the Rick Ginn channel at 8 p.m. Eastern time, guys. I appreciate you guys hanging in there. Go have a wonderful weekend. Barbecue tomorrow. Guys, go out there, keep hunting deals, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night.